My put so much shit. But let's hope I hope you're happy. All this is about riding controlling mind. All without me, you guys are nothing. The reason why there's good content is because it's massive online conspiracy trying to off the internet. It's because you guys are assholes and no one wants to make things for you. Because you guys suck as an audience. You're always rooting against whoever's making the content. You never appreciate the effort anyone puts into it. Fuck you. I'm not gonna spend a lot of effort doing this. These can pretend it's some sort of win thing, but it's not. You lost in the most obvious, meaningful way. You lost because now you're gonna have nothing to fucking do all day. Now you're just gonna sit in your Discord servers and try to bother this. Cool. Way to go. I was gonna wait until January 1st to get rid of everything, but I'm gonna do it tonight. You want something that I made?
Alright, let's... Okay. That was a good intro. And hopefully this will stay together until I can... Hopefully this stream will stay together. Please, let it stay together. This is kind of embarrassing for me. Like, I'm supposed to be a professional content creator at this point. And this shouldn't be happening to me, bro. Alright, so, as you can clearly see, and the Daimyo also confirmed that he did see me in the backstage, and he ran away. Alright, so, I guess the Daimyo... Dude, I wish I could find that video by Friend. It would be so helpful right now, but... Like, I think about 2 months ago, I said that the Daimyo was being paid by J Danks to pretend to be like me in order to insult me. In fact, I think I can find that. J Danks paid the Daimyo to... Let me see if I can find that. No, I wish I could find that video. Simple Farmer, bro. I don't know where your channel's at, man. Hold on a second. Simple Farmer YouTube channel. Here we go. Warhammer says J Danks paid the Daimyo to mock him. Let's see if I can find that right fast. Where's the video at? Yeah, I can't find it. Anyways, there's a video somewhere out there. Where's that video at, dude? Warhammer claims J Danks paid the Daimyo. Where's that video at, dude? I can't find it. Okay, well, regrettably, I'm just not going to be able to show what I wanted to show here on Simple Farmer. Okay, regrettably, I'm not going to be able to find this channel, dude. So I'm going to pull out from that. Okay, so the cowboy tradition, if you were to go back to about 1910 and you look at photographs of Theodore Roosevelt as a cowboy, you will be able to find out that that is about the time period in American history where the cowboy genre became very popular. Oh, and hello there, G.G. Allen. What's up, man? Let me mod you right fast, bro. Sorry about that, man. In the big arena of things, it's very hard to keep up with details like that. Check on Odyssey. Okay. So if you were to look at pictures of, let's say, around 1910 with President Theodore Roosevelt dressed up as a cowboy, if you were to look at photographs of the Rough Riders, let's see here, J Danks paid the Daimyo to mock Warhammer. Yeah, it's not showing up, and it makes me not look like I'm right when I say that. Because, oh, here it is. J Danks accuses Warhammer of horrible crimes. Let's see here. I got this, some kid. I think that's a little bit too far back. Wow. I can't find it. Okay. So much for that. Thank you anyways, G.G. Allen. So if you were to go back to about 1910, you're going to find photographs and pictures of, let's say, Theodore Roosevelt as a cowboy. If you go back to 1898, you'll see pictures of the Rough Riders and stuff. So that's actually about the time when the novels of Karl May and various other novelists and authors of that time period really started to popularize and heavily romanticize the American West. And so the basic point is that if you were to go back before that, you don't actually really find a lot of conception, at least not before the era of manifest destiny in the 1850s or 1840s, about the notion that this land is our land, has, what was his name, what was his name? Goodford Rudy or Rudy Goodford? I can't think of his name. this land is our land kind of mindset. Instead, what you see is kind of more of Americans as a group kind of envisioning about taking the land from the Indians, or at least the vacant land, and cultivating and bringing civilization to it. But in terms of like how that land was considered to be American or nominally American, has in the culture or the vicinity of the United States and American people, and I'm talking about white American people and not the Native Americans, that really wasn't the case. Like, the origins of the cowboy as a popular rustic hero really goes back to Hollywood. The Great Train Robbery in 1906, 1907 is kind of about the beginning of where you see the cowboy heavily popularized. Now, if you go back to the colonial period, and I'm not talking about like what was happening in Spanish America or in French or Dutch America. I'm only talking about Anglo-America at this point, because that's the predecessor of the United States, or at least the foundations of the United States, was in the rebelling 13 colonies. But if you go back to that, you're not going to really find anything whatsoever about cowboys and about rustic stoic hats and stuff. Instead, what you tend to find has sort of the ideal mindset is the pious Protestant dissenter, like the Puritan, the Pilgrim. The Pilgrims and Thanksgiving could really be considered actually the beginning of the American hero, or the quintessential common man folk hero kind of person. And it's really, at this stage, isn't even really American. It's actually something that is really more British than American. It's only after the end of the colonial period and the American Revolution, at least in New England, where the Puritan is turned around and turned into an American folk hero, like an all-American hero. Okay, so if you go back and you read the books by, what was that guy that did what was that called? The Headless Horseman. What was that? The Headless Horseman. Okay, yeah, that's it. The Headless Horseman by Sleepy Hollow. That's it. Sleepy Hollow. If you go back in the 1810s, 1820s, and 1830s, and you read books like The Last of the Mohicans and Sleepy Hollow, this is actually the beginning about the kind of lore, the kind of American folklore about the common hero, or the all-common American hero, upon which you see the origins of the cowboy. Now, the cowboy is not actually Anglo in origin. It's from Spain. It was originally called the caballero, or the caballero. The original term was the caballero, and it originated in Spanish Mexico, or in Spanish America. And when Scotch-Irish Americans, or Anglo and Scotch-Irish Americans, moved westward from Appalachia and from the southern United States into Texas and Louisiana, into what had been, up until that point, formerly French and Spanish-run colonies, crown colonies, and then subsequently Mexican-controlled territory, the Anglos and the Scotch-Irish, who already were quite rustic and very rough and tumble, very independent and extremely pioneer-minded, very independent thinking and very rustic in their manners. When that mindset combined with the Spanish caballero, that is the origins of the cowboy. And even then, it was actually quite some time later, really only after the Civil War, when you started to have the Texas Longhorns and other cattle taken up to Kansas and put on the railroad and sent on the railroad to Chicago and to New York and to other places in the Northeast to be packed and processed for their meat, that's when the cowboy really started to be known or started to get noticed. But the outlaws like Billy the Kid and most of the outlaws of the 1800s were not called cowboys. They were usually referred to as outlaws or as... Now, a lot of these outlaws in the Wild West were actually former Confederate soldiers. Not all of them, but a lot of them were. The Civil War produced a lot of ammunition, or there was a lot of leftover ammunition that was never used during the Civil War, as well as a lot of six-shooters. The end result of which was that there is a lot of very disposable guns in the West. You combine that with Manifest Destiny and the kind of racial aptitude within white outlaws of the time period, as well as a lot of very angry and upset former Confederate soldiers and even former Union soldiers that turned outlaws. You're going to have, obviously, a lot of tension and stuff. And that's actually kind of a lot of the reasons as to why the Wild West was so violent. But in American history, if you go back to the 17th and 18th century, the idea of what it was like to be like a true leader of a community, like the idea of like being an alpha male Chad, was to be a land-owning aristocrat. It was basically something that was brought over from Europe, more specifically from Britain and Spain, and that was actually the ideal, and this continued right down until the American Revolution. Now, after the American Revolution, this actually didn't stop. This kind of mindset of like being a landowner, owning land or building a community, and being a moral, pietistic person, that was actually more of the American ideal. When this all started to change was when Andrew Jackson became president in 1828 or so. When Andrew Jackson was elected president, the newspapers heralded this as the triumph of the common man. It was heralded as the triumph of the common man over the elites of society. In fact, one of the reasons why Jackson attacked the bank and high finance was because it was seen as the triumph of a commoner, a person with virtually no kind of aristocratic, like high financial Brahmin roots or anything, other than the fact that he was completely self-made. His parents were from Northern Ireland. He grew up in virtual poverty, and he basically joined the U.S. Army, and he made something of himself. He became a high-tier general, and then before long, he was president of the United States. Famous general in 1812, the War of 1812, known as Old Rough and Ready. And by the time he was president, he basically demonstrated that the common citizen or the common man could basically win the White House. It was about this time when what would eventually become the cowboy really started to take root. This kind of lore, especially in Appalachia, with the mountain men, the mountaineers, and the mountain men and kind of the ruffians, the border ruffians. This was kind of the direct precursor of the cowboy. Now, when these people from the West Country, or I'm sorry, the people from the edge of the frontier moved into the American Southwest, into Mexican Texas, and then later on, the Southwest, and they came into contact with the Mexican cowboys, this is kind of when, it's called the vaqueros. I'm sorry, they're called the vaqueros. So the vaqueros are actually, in fact, the direct origin of the American cowboy. So when you take the border ruffians, when you take the rustic, tough rednecks of Appalachia, and you mix them in with the vaqueros in Mexican and later in the Republic of Texas, and then you finally have what will become the American cowboy. But the American cowboy did not really start to gain much national notoriety until relatively almost at the very end of the time of the Wild West. So all throughout the history of the Wild West, cowboys and roughnecks in general and outlaws were not really seen in a very positive light by Americans back on the East Coast. They were seen as kind of scourges of society, and they weren't really looked on in a very positive way. They in fact were very highly frowned on, especially if they had any kind of a Confederate background to them. So when all of this began to change, was in 1877. Reconstruction ended. The North and the South made a compromise, for one thing, and then throughout the 1880s, gradually the cowboy lifestyle died out. The great pathways that they took with the cattle up to the Midwest largely ceased, and the Wild West became settled. And then all of a sudden, around the turn of the 20th century, Buffalo Bill's Wild West show became very popular. So there's one thing there. The Buffalo Bill Wild West show, which was very world famous at the turn of the century, really took off. You have, for example, Theodore Roosevelt going out west, becoming a cowboy, and this guy is part of the very influential New York-based Roosevelt dynasty. So you have someone that is very high up in society that's living the life of a cowboy, and naturally, this is going to be taken back east, and it's going to gain notoriety, and people are going to publish this in newspapers, especially with Teddy and the Rough Riders in the Spanish-American War. So this is really when the popularity of the cowboy genre actually arose. And even then, it was actually not until the Great Depression. It was actually really not until almost the Great Depression when you start to see an upsurge in Westerns. And from that time period, we're talking about the Roaring 20s, and especially the kind of pushback, at least among WASPs, to urbanization and metropolitanization. There's this pushback onto this kind of old folk way, or this kind of older way of life about the Wild West, and this nostalgia for the cowboy and all of that stuff. And that's really when the cowboy really does become seen as this American hero thing. And of course, you see this with the upsurge of Westerns from the 20s all the way down to at least the 80s, when that kind of medium really begins to die out and is gradually replaced with more World War II related movies and comic book superheroes, and kind of more gangsters and thugs, and kind of more of that, replacing the older Westerns and the cowboys. So anyways, the Daimyo, I don't think the Daimyo really understands that the West was not really seen in a popular light until pretty much the late 1800s. Like pretty much the apex of the Wild West. And it was seen in the ideal of the common man. It was basically the representation of the common man. And, I don't know what the Daimyo's thing is about cowboys or whatever, but apparently he thinks that they're bad. Apparently he doesn't like the cowboys for whatever reason. And I don't think he really understands that there's a lot more to history than just how Hollywood depicts it. So the Daimyo, the freaking laughing Daimyo, Ethan Jeremiah Hatchett, he don't like cowboys for whatever reason. And apparently, since I'm from Texas, he thinks that we're a bunch of cowboys and stuff. You know, bro, that's about as dull as trying to say that all New Yorkers love pizza. That's in the same vein of saying that all Japanese still dress up like samurai and wear katanas and put their hair up in what is that hairstyle called of the samurai? You know, that's basically like, that's like saying that people in Europe still LARP around as knights and as Roman legionnaires and all this other nonsense. You know, dude. It really does demonstrate how absolutely superficial people can really be with their geography. You know, I really doubt that Daimyo could even point where Texas is on a map. He probably couldn't even really be able to point on a map where his hometown is at, dude. Cowboys are pretty cool. Yeah, they are, dude. They are a very old-time American genre, dude. It was called the shomogi, or the shomogi. It was worn by samurai from like the 14th century to the 19th century or whatever. But yeah, it was like a top knot. It was called the shomogi. I don't know. They have a lot of weird hairstyles and stuff. The Chinese used to put their back hair in queues and shave the rest of it off. It's called the Manchu haircut. But yeah, different cultures have expressed and demonstrated different stuff. Cowboys are pretty cool. Yes, they are. Absolutely, dude. TR was one, for one thing. Cowboys have always been steeped in an essential part of American pop culture. I was just saying that cowboys really didn't get noticed until after the Civil War had ended. And really not even until after the compromise between the North and the South. My girlfriend hates cowboys. She won't watch cowboy movies at all. Well, that's kind of silly because cowboys in those movies are depicted as gentlemen, which is really far from the truth in regards to how they actually lived. But in movies, cowboys are like the most romantic gentlemen that could like steal a lady off her feet. So that's weird. He likes Ethan Rolfe. I know, dude. It's so cringe, man. He hates PPP and he likes Ethan Rolfe. It's just really cringe, dude. Ethan Rolfe is like an idiot, dude. He's like, he went to Portugal and he got his ass whooped, dude. Like, he's not even bringing a positive light to Americans internationally. For one thing, like, Ethan Rolfe is not really the ideal kind of leader for nothing, dude. He's just a radio talk show personality. What a waste of time, dude. What a waste of time to feel nostalgic about. Ghost of Niccolo says, Forge Gang! Yakuza Brothers rising up! Top knot. Yeah, I'm sorry. I was talking about the shomogi. Alright. Looks like people want some little shimmy raps up in this bitch, yo. Coffee says, is Rolfe a cowboy? He rides horses and drinks whiskey. No, he's not. A cowboy is a job occupation primarily, and it's kind of almost entirely dead, actually, which is really weird. because that kind of job occupation of like cattle rustling, it's almost a dead industry in America. Drunken surfer Ethan Rolfe is based in Red Pilled. Nah, he's a piece of garbage, dude. He's a waste of human life and a total piece of garbage. I've watched some of his streams and he just takes a lot from Alex Jones and kind of tries to basically demystify it. But I thought it was Daimyo, if you're watching this, bro, I thought it was funny when you tried to like compare Confederate soldiers or whatever to cowboys. And dude, Stonewall Jackson did not see himself as a cowboy, you idiot. He saw himself as a cavalier, or like an Ulster Scots Covenanter. That's kind of the ideal of manhood that Stonewall Jackson, or like Stuart Jebb, what was his name, Stuart Jebb or whatever, and Robert E. Lee. Dude, those guys saw themselves as like carrying out the ideas in the novels of, what was his name, Gerald, dude. What was that guy's name that wrote about the Highlanders? It was not Scott Fitzgerald, I know that. Dude, I can't remember my stuff here. Sir Arthur Scott, that's it. Dude, none of the Confederate soldiers saw themselves as cowboys. Unless, you know, maybe they were Texans, you know. Yeah, maybe the Texans in the Confederate Army did. But most of the Confederates in Virginia would have seen themselves as Cavaliers or Covenanters. They were carrying out like the Solemn League and Covenant. Southerners read the novels of Sir Walter Scott, bro. They saw themselves as basically like crusaders and medieval knights, and they saw the Northerners as revolutionists and socialists, dude. They did not think of themselves as cowboys or on some kind of freaking ranch or out in the frontier. They saw themselves as medieval knights, Daimyo. Learn your history, bro. Alright, that's enough of that. But anyways, as you can see right there of what I showed at the beginning, the Daimyo fled. The Daimyo even confirmed that I was in the backstage of his live stream. I was ready to take him on, and he fled the scene, dude, and he would not let me back into the stream yards afterwards. So he's an idiot, dude. He's a complete sissy, dude. The Daimyo is a complete freaking LARPing sissy, dude. You know, he's a freaking sissy, man. He would not even let me come in and fucking humiliate him on camera or on StreamYards. Okay, let's see here. Ghost of Niccolo says, Yakuza, let's go! Dragon Gang! Daimyo is not a Christian. Daimyo is a mixed-race Christian or Christ denier. Yeehaw! Yeehaw! Coffee says, Yeehaw! And the Ghost of Niccolo says, KKK Tillity, dude. Alright. I think I need to stop holding back. And we need to fucking bust up some freestyles in this bitch. Back in the crypt. Going strong in the hood, yo. It's time to do some freestyles with Little Shimmy, bro. Oh, Ghost of Niccolo, if you don't mind, I want to see your video here. But yeah, I mean, I don't like PPP either. I'm not a fan of Ethan Rolfe, and I don't really like PPP either.
Is just fat gay guys just arguing. I think the Kino Casino is just fat gay guys just arguing and whining and stuff about random stuff from 2 years ago. So it's not really that interesting anymore, and I guess that's really about it, bro.
True words have never been spoken.
I look as a fat gay cunt myself who's bad hearing that shit from 2 years ago.
Okay, I just wanted to see that right fast. That was funny. Oh, dude, man, Ghost, you really stole the moment there, bro. That was hilarious. Okay, I'll bring up some freestyles. I don't think this is a freestyle, though. Go for it, buddy.
You're calling your name. You drew licky split in the first round. You okay with that?
Yeah.
Is that Eminem, dude? I think that's Eminem.
Okay.
I gotta get my hoodie on. Alright, let's get some beats up in this crypt, yo. There we go. Try something a little bit different. Soda can pop! Soda pop remixed hard little shimmy free beat. Just be hitting it beat. Just be hitting it beat. Just be hitting it beat. Here we go, backseat, drinking up a soda can. Let's be goes in it. Yakuza is here, the Yakuza Dragon Gang. Let's go, Forge Gang. Dominating up on the beat, here we go. Rapping out, we go out loud. Drinking up some soda, doing some freestyle. Pop it up out loud, baby. Hear it pop, pop that loud. Hear it pop, pop that loud. Hear it, you see it here. Sipping hard, sip. But no simping here, that's where it goes to be. Some malt liquor G with a little bit of Spritey. It's going right here, going little shimmy style, yeah. Pop it in here, baby, up in this bitch in the crypt, just drinking with the Broyos. Let's go, Zos. It's little shimmy shaking here all the time, all day, drinking some pop, yeah. The sweet taste, yeah. It's undesirable, it's desirable, totally irreversible. You can't forget the taste even if you tried it. All right, let's just be doing it. Victory Pepsis! Pepsi ain't no commie drink, it's a drink for fascists. See, black shirts, they drink black Pepsi, black coated Pepsi. Let's go, fascist black shirts, drinking up some black Pepsi. Let's just be getting it and drizzling, baby. Hardcore, no style in it, just totally styling it and riling it up and dominating it up on the hard seat. You know what I'm talking about. That's where it is, baby. Let's just go up in this crypt, baby. Yo, it's time to go with the Broyos, homie. Let's just be getting it. Fascist rap style beats. Don't you know it's hard to see? We're crushing down the communism. The red armies fleeing from the scene in the front of the black shirt fascists. Hardcore drinking up on the Pepsi, dude. Coca-Cola is for sore ass SJW soylent losers, yo. There ain't no soy in the Pepsi, bro. Let's just go. Hardcore, all black, fashy shirts, here it's at. Let's just be seeing here up on the crypt, fascist crypt on Forge Gang, yo. Let's just go now. No backseat for fascism, bro. It's where it's at. You know what I'm talking about. A little shimmy hardcore, man. It's time to get up on the right beat. It's time to get up and burning it with it. Let's go. All black shirted and ready to go. Demonstrating out on the street. Taking out Antifa. That's where it's at. You feel the beats, bros? That's where I am losing at. Hardcore styling at. You know where it is at. Little shimmy ready to go. Always up on the high speed. You know what it is at, man. Life is short and sweet. Short and sweet. Just like Pepsi and malt liquor, bro. My favorite beer is Budweiser, yo. But not like beer, yo. It's time to drink some rum and take up some brandy, bro. But not the cheap kind, you know. That's where it's styling at, yo. Alright, let's go. Forge, gang, 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 gang. Forge, gang, gang, gang. Alright, let's see if I can find, I can't really use synthwave, can I? Yeah, I mean, I can't really use synthwave. Yeah, let's get it. Let's go. Hardcore, it's where it's at. No fleeing at. You know where it's going, bro. It's time to get it at, yo. It's time to go. Get dominating. It's time to feel it. You know where I be seeing, man. Let's just be getting it. Taking out young Turks. Taking out the young Turks. Libtards. It's time to goes at them. It's time to gizen them out. It's time to get out of the way, yo. Let's go. Fascist drill beats. Let's just be getsin' it. Alright, I gotta find some more stuff to drill to at, bro. Let's go. Oh, hey, Burger Boy, what's up? Let's get it! Let's go! Hey there, Burger Boy. You're kind of up early, man. I already did this one. Alright. I feel the medieval castle here, high up on the core and in the seat. Let's just go out here. It's time to go. You know what I'm saying, bro? Dark Ages, Middle Ages, back in style. That's where it's at, yo. It's time to go hardcore for style. Hardcore, feudal slave owning style. No apologies, no gimmicks. Freestyling, no gimmicks. BZ with an easy. It's time to go. Io, bro, let's just be getting it, baby. Let's just be chillsing that. You know what I'm talking about. It's time to go. Dominated up on the hardcore beats. It's go. Little shimmy, drilling, beats, big style. Big C's and big styling. Let's just be goes in it and gets in that, bro. No more excuses. Fascist black shirts. It's time to scram. It's time to go. It's time to go. Blow it out and fast. Hardcore, motherfucker. That's where it's at. No apologies for white guilt. No more. It's time to go. No apologies for nothing else. Little Shimmy says it's time to dominate. Overall, it's colonizing it. You know what I'm saying. Yeah, let's just go. I feel the Spirit in my life. The Holy Spirit reading the Bible. Salvation in Christ. All true eternal salvation from the Father and the Son and the Holy Ghost. You know what I'm saying? Hardcore Christian drill beats is where I'm at, and it's time to go. You feel me? It's time to drop some freaking Brit style nukes. That's where it's really at. Hammer hardcore style, hammering hardcore style. Io, that's where it's at. You know I ain't kidding. You know that I am a real player. Hardcore motherfucker, that's where it's at. It's time to get back in the trap beats. Trying to drill beats with the hardcore with the seats. No back seats for black shirt fascist, yo. It's time to get hardcore, motherfucker. That's where it's at. Boyo. It's time to go. No more apologies. No more squirming. That's where it's at, bro. We're all brothers in Christ. That's where it's at, yo. Alright, so I guess in conclusion, the Daimyo ran away in the face of battle and he couldn't handle the power of the hammer, bro. He couldn't stand the wrath of the hammer and he couldn't hold on to his pride. He's effectively beaten like a dog, man. effectively owned, bro. That's my conclusion anyways. So, Daimyo, if you're watching this, bro, you're a coward. And from now on, you're just basically a beaten dog by the name of Diabetio. And I have conquered and subdued the diabetes Shogunate.